Hey guys, I'm back and I have an entirely different kind of video to show you today. I'm going to show you the main work that goes on at the shop at Patriot Marine Coatings. I'm going to take an old rifle, an old AR rifle, and I'm going to refurbish it. I'm going to cosmetically and replacing a few parts, turn it into a real nice AR-15 hunting rifle. Basically, what I'm going to do is I was grandfathered a rifle from my father. It's very tactical, very military, very tactical kind of setup at the beginning. I want to say, for the legality purposes, not selling any weapons here, not instructing anybody on how to build anything. This has nothing to do with changing rates of fire or installing any accessories or sewing accessories or anything like that. This is not violating any YouTube policies. This is all about refurbishing this rifle and how we do the customizations that we do at the shop. Focusing really on, again, refurbishing and the cosmetic changes on this one. I'm going to switch out some, like I said, I am going to switch out some parts, mainly for comfort and handling, but internal components are all going to remain the same. I'm going to change the entire look of it from that very militaristic look to a much more hunting styled rifle, because that is really what its intended use is now. So I hope you guys enjoy watching this process with me, and here we go. This is, it's got a 24-inch heavy barrel. It is actually a 5.56 millimeter. So 223.223 is not exactly 5.56 millimeter. It is very close, but not exactly the same. It needs a little bit of work. It is, obviously, it needs a scope with mounts. It is not a pew-pew. It is a actual marksman kind of rifle that has, you can see it's already got a little bit of camouflage work on it. It's by DPMS. The one that I usually show, when I do show it, is by Bushmaster. Very interesting flash hider there, but this is absolutely an accurized, floating barrel in there. This guy will be the subject of some work on the channel, assuming it doesn't get me kicked off the channel to show it. I mean, kicked off of YouTube. It's a lot heavier than your standard AR-15. It really is. But we'll be able to do some fun stuff with this guy. All sorts of modifications and fixing it up. And new coating. We'll sandblast all of this off. We will, I'll have Darren help me out and decide exactly what kind of a cool Cerakote job to put on this thing. I've got some 45-degree angled iron sights on there so that you have the old, iron sight option. But I mean, this is primarily a scoped, sighted-in firearm. So those people who say you can't go hunting with an AR-15 have no idea what they're talking about. Those people who say it's only for plinking type fun at a firing range obviously have no idea what they're talking about. Well, I've got this breakdown of the rifle so far, with some of the pieces having already gone for deep cleaning. This thing has been sitting around for quite a while, very dirty. I suspect that it was fired and put away and not cleaned, but we've got some major parts here that are, ready now for sandblasting and everything. We've got the majority of little pieces and everything, trigger assemblies and all that stuff in this box here. There's new work that still needs to be done over there. The stock is back in the hard case. We'll get to that later. So overall, big decisions we've come up with. Number one, we're going to ditch this flash hider because we're not so worried about hiding the flash as we are getting the most accurate shot we can out of this thing. So we're going to replace this with a compensator. So this is going away. We're also getting rid of this giant, heavy piece of just weight, and we're going to replace it with something more modern and much lighter. And you'll see that piece as we go. We also kind of talked and decided on a new color scheme for the whole thing once it's done. I'm really focusing on more of a hunting rifle, but also something that can be considered, if need be, if the event arose, you know, a tactical firearm as well. So lots of work to do. The first step is going to be to get this all blasted, make sure it's all cleaned off of any remaining carbon and oil, get the parts ordered in, get rid of the stuff we don't need anymore, and then we'll be ready to get to work with, you know, putting it back together, making sure everything fits and works correctly, and then going for our kind of new look. So over here at the blast cabinet, getting ready to go. So I'm just going to clean and blast the foregrip and the flash hider just for the hell of it. So we have the options, you know, we'll keep them and we're still going to replace them. But about to get done is the whole barrel, the lower, the upper flash hider, foregrip, the bolt, because we're going to micro coat that and make it nice and slick, the gas block, charging handle, the trigger, and then I took apart the PRS stock and the plastic parts. Normally we do the blasting at 80 psi. We're going to do these at 30 so that we don't scorch up the plastic too much and take too much material off. But we're going to coat this up really nicely as well, and then the actual hardware is going to stay black when it's all done. So here's the beast, which doesn't look like much, but you've seen it before. Parts go in, hands go in gloves, garnet circulates around and takes layers of material off. So I'm going to get going on this, and we'll take a look at the pieces when I'm all done. Well, pieces are all blasted now, all cleaned off from everything that was on there. I decided, forget this, I'm not using it. I know I'm not using it, so I'm not even gonna do it. So all the pieces that we are going to recoat and recolor are done. This PRS stock does have a lot of parts, not as hard to take apart and work with as I thought, but now it's time to get everything hung up. It needs to go in the oven and sweat, so all residual oils and everything else in it comes out before we start coating again. Alright, so this is the big oven. Pieces will be going in the big oven, and these other pieces on the rack with them, submersible UAV parts for little submersible UAVs, like deep rescue type stuff. Pretty cool. They're going to get coated too. Alright, so yeah, the noise you hear in the background is the vibratory tumbler working on some stuff here in the shop. I hope it's not too loud. So the scope that I decided I'm going to go with for the rifle, simply because I had it, it came in, I honestly can't remember if it came in a Never Enough Tactical or a Barrel and Blade, but it's a Primary Arms 3-9 by 44 scope. It's designed to be used for up to a 5.56 millimeter rifle. It's a little bit big, honestly, for the rifle that we're working on, but I showed it to Darren. He actually said it's a pretty good scope, and he said that this is it's got good optics. It's a pretty good scope. I mean, it's, you know, validation for what comes in the box, I guess. So we are going to take this one. I'm going to going handheld with the camera right now, so I only have one hand to work with. But we're gonna blast, and we're gonna coat this one as well, though. I'm gonna blast this. I'm gonna mask off the ends and some of the area with the markings. We're gonna coat this to match the rest of the rifle. So basically gonna mask off, I'm gonna insert a felt plug here, mask off this end. We're gonna preserve the markings here, insert a felt plug and mask off this end. I'm gonna take it out of the rings, of course. We'll coat the rings in the base color only, not the camouflage color we're gonna do, and get it all done up in the exact same color that we're gonna do everything else in. And it should go very well with everything else that we're doing to get this rifle into shape. So next step. It's been a while since we worked on this AR-15 hunting rifle project. Again, just saying, we're not converting anything. We're not doing any kind of modification to it, so we're adhering to all of YouTube's rules. We're just cosmetically making it look cool. So for all of the plastic furniture on the stock, I ordered a new hand grip. It's not here yet. We are going to go with Cerakote Forest Green. We're going to do a single color on this. We're going to leave all of the hardware, though, that goes with it black. Sorry, the air compressor turns on in the shop often. We're going to get this coated and get this cured. And then we're going to move on to all of the metal components of the actual rifle itself. We got everything cured, just fresh out of the oven. Well, it's had a little time to cool off so I could touch it. One of the most fun things to do is unmasking. This stuff didn't have a lot masked, but the scope, of course, we masked a lot of stuff off, especially the optics, because that would be bad to coat. So we just unmask it all now and see how it all came out. Cotton pad in there to make sure that none of the tape came in contact with the actual optics. That would be bad. Don't want to destroy any of the actual lens coating there. Finding the end of the tape can be a challenge, but I think there it is. So I wanted to just keep this edge uncoated in case we want to put, you know, a shade or something on there. Also kept the serial numbers masked off, so we can reference that if we need to later on. Plus and minus guidelines there, along with letting you know what setting you're on. This is high temperature tape. Regular masking tape in the oven would just basically cook into complete garbage. You'd have baked on adhesive and everything. The tape would be brittle and it would be cooked on. You'd get it off in little tiny crumbles at a time. It would not peel off in one piece like this tape does. Be nearly impossible to remove. Alright, there's our complete serial number. Trying really hard not to scratch anything underneath this blade while taking the tape off. Be really gentle, but it also means it can take a while. You'd hate to do all this work and then scratch it all up, right? There we go. The little, oops, the little name strip, primary arm. This wire, this was just for hanging, for coating, and in the oven and stuff. And there's our eyepiece. And the scope is finished, and it is ready for mounting to the rifle. And optics are still perfect. Everything that's supposed to rotate, rotates. And still get in here to get to our adjustments just fine. Works just fine. So good to go there. We got to put together the stock now and move on to coating some of the other pieces. I've got some of the other hardware in the oven now with its coating, but still lots to do. After the first day of coating and working, so we've got our stock back together, and this is the forest green, and everything works, everything clicks correctly and all, so this came together pretty nicely. We've got the scope done, a kind of the way I intended. It does look a little bit bland in just the green, I'll admit it, but you know, we're just looking for nice, dull, toned down colors for the rifle. We're going to do hydrographics on both the upper and lower receiver and the foregrip in a pattern that we call Stockland. Stockland is a film that incorporates the tans and the greens. If you look at it, it kind of has the look of the sort of camouflage that you would do, and you just sort of took some natural foliage elements and stuff and laid it over and sprayed. So I think this is going to look pretty good on there. Based on the fact that we are not doing an AR build, we're not doing a big AR mod or anything like that, we want to keep as many of the original pieces as we can, especially since this is kind of an older sort of a classic. You know, this is an A1 style. I want to save the pieces a little bit, and you know, the previous owner did some individual special mods. This is like the Millennium Falcon of ARs here. This rail was not original. This was before ARs had rails. So when I say this is like the Millennium Falcon, it's the owner did a lot of special modifications himself. So we're gonna have to make some small modifications just to make this thing work the way we want. We want to reduce some weight, but really, like I said, what we're doing is really a cosmetic change up on this. But we are, since this is kind of bulky, we're gonna replace this grip here with something by luth-ar. So the Chubby Grip here provides a lot of the same benefits in terms of the stabilization and the comfort of this hand grip, you can see, but it's a lot smaller profile. Very good grip, very stable. The flat dark earth color here is going to make it a little bit easier for us to work with, coat this, graphics, whatever. It's just easier to put color onto a lighter color than a darker color. So we're going to go with this grip. If you remember in the beginning of the video, we had that big, heavy metal round foregrip. We've already got a very large, it's a 24-inch heavy barrel. We don't need to add any more weight to this thing. So we wanted to go with something that was going to be considerably lighter, but also give us a lot of good real estate to do graphics on and everything. So again, going with luth-ar, it kind of goes with the fact that this is an A1 style. It's got the old triangular look to it, but it's M-lock instead of cheese grater. You know, instead of all pick rails all around. So it's got a rail on top. Take a look at your standard quad rail system. So there's just a lot of, now if you're just doing flat color, that's one thing. But when you want to do graphics and everything, these are all spaces where you have what we call voids, where you have trouble getting hydrographics to stick. Air pockets, patterns will look skewed going in there, and then in between all the patterns, you have all these holes. So, like I said, you just want, let's say you just want to turn this flat dark earth, or you just want to turn it OD green, or you even want it pink or purple or whatever. Sure, that's a great use for rails like this. Although you're also talking about, you know, the cheese grater effect of these rails on your hands and gloves or whatever, but that's besides the point. We're not here to talk about AR parts. This, with the surface area, with, even though it has the cutouts, it gives us the ability, with all that, to actually wrap that graphic around and really give you a better view of what we're doing. So not only comfortable to hold, cool design on it and everything, but it'll really show off those graphics when we're done. And then we'll still have the rail on top for what we want to do. One more change we have to make to the parts is, because of the size here, we have to use this low profile gas block by EGW. All it's really doing is letting the gas tube fit in there. We put that on the barrel, and that way it all fits neatly inside. Let me kind of put this together roughly to show you what it's going to look like when it's all done. Very rough fit, right? So we have a lot of work left to do to make this thing look very pretty. The barrel will be, about a good inch, maybe 2 inches further back, but you can see it's going to extend past the foregrip a little bit. We're going to have a nice floating barrel system here. Very accurate still with a heavy barrel. Good scope. You can see there's one little issue right here.
because this is not naturally fit with a rail, there's going to be a little step because of the rail that was mounted there. So not a big problem. We'll mount the offset sights here and here. It'll be a different sight picture because that rear sight will be so far forward, but you know, that'll just be something that we'll adjust to because primarily it's going to be a hunting rifle. So not a big problem, but you can see how it's coming together. It is going to look very different than the original. Still need to get a compensator for the muzzle there and do a bit more work. I've got the scope mount to work on. Obviously I don't have all the hardware pieces right here with me, but they are coated. I don't know if I mentioned this, but the bowed extended trigger guards that wearing gloves, you can get your hands in there. So let me get to work on some more parts and continue to turn this into a nice, effective hunting tool. Here's everything that we just dipped, waiting to be rinsed. So we don't know how good everything is until it's rinsed. Everything looks great right after the dip. Now, I can already see some voided areas, but sometimes that just looks like it's part of the camouflage when it's all done, so it's not that big a deal. But again, until it's all rinsed, we really won't know exactly how good or bad the pattern has come out. And we can always touch up little things like that with the airbrush if that really bothers us. So a couple more minutes, we're going to turn on the rinse tank and let it rinse everything, and then see how the pattern really stuck to the pieces here. After the rinse cycle, so you can see that we do have these little void areas here, and sometimes that just happens. Air gets trapped as you're rolling the film. They're very easy to fix. We have different techniques that we can use to fix those voids and blend it right in with the rest of the pattern. And it'll be completely unnoticeable. This side came out nearly perfect. And then the underside looks very, very nice. Our dust cover looks pretty good. And then the actual receivers here. Again, a couple little void areas. that we can touch up very easily as we complete everything. Right there, but nothing that can't be blended in and fixed up. Minimal effort, really. So, there we go. Back on another day to touch up some of these areas. There's lots of different techniques we can use. One of the newest is using these artistic watercolor brush pens, and it sounds like it wouldn't really work that well, but it really does if you know how to blend the colors. So take a look at that one right there. And this is all going to get clear coated when it's done. So you see that. Looks like it might not even go because it's such a light color. Kind of all knowing the colors you're working with and the medium you're working with, and how to merge those together to kind of work with the pattern that you've got on there. And when all the touch-ups on everything are done, you can see here the touch-up areas that need to be done, then they get their clear coat, which will lock this all in and give it a nice protective finish, but also help kind of blend in any kind of difference in the finish between the markers or the airbrush paint and the hydrographics or anything, make it look like one consistent thing. But you can see that that whole area totally hidden, and it looks like it's just part of the pattern now. Good to go. We're all touched up now. Ready for what we call dead flat, which smells horrible, but is a great finish. Doesn't smell horrible once it's on. So slightly different camera in use here right now, but so this is where we're at. After that dead clear flat, you can see that we've got a really nice looking rifle shaping up. So it really, changed not only just the finish, but the look of it all is really coming together as a solid piece. Now, I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about the look of, the graphics and the separate color for the stock and the grip, but I'm really liking it. I'm really liking it so far, but I think it's coming out great. We've got another piece done in the oven right now. So the barrel just came out. We've got the scope mounts ready to go. We've got a lot of the hardware ready to reassemble and put together again. See that all of our touch-ups really paid off. And it looks pretty nice. So the scope, same color here. The barrel has internal, inside of this foregrip, same color, and then flat black for the part that extends. I think it's going to be, it's just going to be a nice switch from what it was. Not so much sniper in the bushes look, but more of a hunting tool kind of look, but also it's going to have a tactical quality to it, so it's going to look pretty good. Backup 45-degree iron sights. Sort of forgot to show them as they came out of the package, but they're all broken down. So front sights, front sight post. We're going to do some fun stuff with this. Coat it, flash it, and then we're going to give a high visibility. I haven't decided yet if it's going to be green or orange, just to the post itself. Have the aperture separate here, because that is going to not get coated, but so getting ready to blast this stuff so we can get it coated in flat dark earth. So the rail section here will remain black, but all the other fixtures will get flat dark earth, so that when it's folded down along the rifle, it'll kind of match the color scheme of everything else. These sights are done. I like them a lot better. They're going to match the rifle
pretty well, if this camera will focus. I decided to do the front sight post in green for high visibility. Pretty nifty, I guess. Maybe, we'll see. I don't know if it even works out. But they are ready for mounting onto the actual rifle now. Let me do that real quick. So these sights will be an optical backup, but they will be a backup for either close range shooting or just, you know, something happens to the scope. And they will fold nicely. That's a little close to this right here. I might move that up just a tad. But they fold nicely. They both have the standard windage and elevation settings that a typical AR-15/M16 sight set would have. And just to make it sort of match everything else. So I did it so that it matches the black there, and then flat dark earth of everything else. One piece left, compensator, and this project is finished. Final part for the build has come, and for the compensator slash flash hider slash muzzle brake, we're using the VG6 Epsilon 556. Now, this was picked out by Darren himself. It has a lot of great features. One of the ones is not only does it aid in extreme accuracy, but also if you've ever fired with an actual muzzle brake on any kind of range with anybody near you, people tend to not like you at all on the side of you. This has a caging system that you can put over it and add into it, so that if you are shooting on a range, you know, instead of actually hunting somewhere, you can sight it in, you can practice and everything, and it doesn't send your blast directly to the people in the booths or the stalls or the positions, whatever, directly to your left and right. So this is, it's a really good model. This should really aid in the whole accuracy part. We're gonna add this in. I'm not gonna coat this or anything. I'm gonna leave this just as is. And we will, I had a funny thought to do it in like blaze orange just as a joke, but we're gonna get this in, we're gonna get this installed, and that rifle will be ready to get sighted in, and it's ready for hunting season. Well guys, I'm excited because finally that build is complete. It's taken a while to get everything in, and you know, the creative element of deciding how I wanted it to be, and having to have that tempered with Darren telling me what is possible and what we can do. So we're gonna start with the little bits. Now you've seen the 2 PMags done in Stockland. So I've got those. 2 standard aluminum magazines in the green that we started with. To be honest, doing this now, I can't remember if that's foliage green, forest green, or what kind of green it is. I'm sure I had said earlier on what it is, but I bet now you want to take a look at the whole completed rifle, don't you? So I'd have to do a super wide shot to get this whole thing in. But she is finished, and she looks great. I am super excited to get this bore sighted in and actually get some use out of this. So you got the VG6 brake on the end. So you see those slots on the top to help limit any kind of barrel rise. And like I said, we can get the cage to keep any kind of blast or anything going sideways, but very accurate to keep on target. We've got the much lighter weight luth-ar forward. We've got basically everything, all the internal components are the same. The upper and lower receivers are the same. We've got the primary arms 3x9 scope. I'll take the covers off, and it crystal clear optics on this. You know, I mean, you can see perfectly. So for any kind of hunting environment, it's going to work great. The only thing that would make this better would be a lit reticle, which it doesn't have. But in the event of failure or breakage or any kind of problem with the scope itself, 45-degree offset iron sights, so you can still get a shot if need be. Now, you know, I am so ingrained in my military training, nose to charging handle for firing a rifle like this, it would take some amazing adjusting to get used to firing with those. But you know, that would be a last resort only. But they, in the flat dark earth, kind of match the tone of the rifle when they're folded down. Same stock, hadn't changed the stock, just put it in the green color to match everything else. The luth-ar, the fatty, very comfortable grip, very supportive, without all that bulk of the other one that was on there. So, still have, I mean, really have the accuracy of that very heavy barrel in there. It is a very heavy barrel, but saved a lot of weight up front, a lot of weight on the entire body here by switching the parts. Stating again, just for YouTube legality, we have not done anything that would change the rate of fire, that would make this automatic, simulated automatic, anything like that. All we've done is we have taken this and made it into more of a hunting rifle from what it was, in terms of some of the parts we put on it, the scope, and cosmetically gave it a really nice finish that will blend in with most environments for when you're hunting. The Stockland pattern is pretty awesome. So, but just to give you an idea, with the PMag in there, that's how it would look. So I mean, you know, that matches perfectly for the rest of the pattern. And then switching to the aluminum, just a different look. You know, we could have done those in Hydrographics, but Cerakote is just a better choice for metal overall. So, going with the green of everything else. So this is really what we do at Patriot Armory and Coatings. This is the primary thing. This is what the shop, the company itself, started out doing, was customizing these kinds of projects. So I'm really happy with this. I think the transformation from where it started to what it became is awesome. I love the fact that we kept the old A1 upper on there. I think that's pretty cool. I hope you guys have enjoyed kind of the step-by-step process. It's taken a while, with a lot of dead time in between, waiting for parts, or the clear dead flat. It takes like a full 24 hours curing time, just getting things ready, making decisions on what we're gonna do. I mean, so from the time I started this project, it sat for a few weeks just doing nothing at all. So this has been a long time in coming to finish this rifle remodeling. So I hope you guys like it. I'm really curious to get your thoughts on it and what you think. I wish I could just get one wide shot, like with the whole thing in it, but it's a lot bigger than a carbine. So what do you guys think? What are your thoughts on this? Did you like it as it was? Do you like it as is now? Are there different things you might have done with it? Different changes that you would like to see made? I'm pretty proud of it. This was my first kind of build on, I can't say my own, but really where Darren sort of directed me in how to do stuff. Military-wise, I was never an armorer, so I didn't do, I did field stripping. I didn't take parts, assemblies apart and everything, and learning how to do that and then putting them back together was, in fact, it was pretty cool. I was really happy to do that and learn how to really reassemble. I mean, take it down to every single part and put it all back together. That was really cool. I was really happy with that. So now that I've done this, I've got it, the bug. I'm going to get myself one of the an 80% lower, and I'm going to build one from scratch and see how that goes. And I'm hoping that will might be a little more frustrating, but I think it'll be just as much fun to do, and you know, we'll see. What do you guys think? Did you like it? Yes? No? I know that one of the biggest requests I've gotten is like, are you going to do any firearms kind of stuff on the channel? So here you go. Here's the first firearms related really video that I've ever done on the channel, and hopefully YouTube doesn't hate me for it. I really hope that it does satisfy some of you guys, that you enjoyed seeing it, that it's been, I don't know, maybe a little educational for some people too. I learned a lot. I learned a lot doing this. From going from the operator of the rifle to the more into the maintenance, into the you know, the design side, the really learning how it works. It's pretty cool, pretty fascinating stuff. Lots of little tiny pieces. I can't tell you. I think I lost 3-4 springs, some detents. I don't know, all in the course of this stuff. If you want to see more stuff like this, let me know. This is what we do at the shop every day. As always, guys, you are all absolutely awesome. I appreciate every single one of you, and I'll be back again, hopefully with another awesome project real soon.